It is time this week for the latest Ballpark Digest broadcaster chat. I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler. I'll be joined by Mick Gillispie. And on this week's show, we're going to talk junk balling. We're going to talk about Roger Maris's 61st home run, and the home run call will be our call of the week. And we're also going to tell stories about about ball players with skills beyond those related to baseball. So all the different ball players, and maybe even some coaches, if we think of them, that could do things other than simply play ball on the field. Big thanks, as always, to Kevin Reichardt from Ballpark Digest and all of the sister sites, Arena Digest, Football Stadium Digest, and more. And really big thanks for hosting it and bringing us this opportunity, as we've done it week after week. I know that we've done it a certain number of weeks because I've forgotten how many number of shows this is. But if you go to ballparkdigest.com right now, you can check out the 2019 preview of Great American Ballpark. Zach Spedden, a great Ballpark Digest and Beyond editor, is going through and previewing what every MLB team is doing to begin this season on and off the field. And I also see that Scottsdale Stadium renovations are set for 2020. As we await Mick Gillispie joining, let me bring in Kevin Reichardt right now just to talk about what is going on, about all the different previews that are set as spring training is wrapping up. And Kevin does such a great job with spring training online and through the newsletters, letting you know the best tips, the best advice for taking in Cactus League action and Grapefruit League action as well. So Kevin, before we bring in Mick, thus ends another Grapefruit League and Cactus League season. There's a bit of that reverb, but that's okay. Why don't you talk to as we get set for this upcoming baseball season? Well, forget Kevin. As Kevin is getting things all set, I do see that Mick has joined us. And so let's bring in Mick, and we get everything all set to go. I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler. I work with the Lansing Lugnuts, and I just had the opportunity to go down to Blue Jays spring training. My very first cameo. Hello, Mick. Mick, spring training voice of the Chicago Cubs. How about you with Cactus League wrapping up in Arizona?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you get here. I've been in Arizona since February 20th, and you see this roster. It starts with 70 guys. And then now it's 40, right? And then they got to get it down to 26, and that's it, And so there's still some guys that, are hoping to maybe get a shot. You also wonder who's healthy and who's not. But when you have a good team like the Cubs, it's not as dramatic in spring training. It's when you have the bad teams, like that haven't done well. And then there's these roster battles. Is it going to be the young guy? Is the veteran going to get it? What direction? So with a week left, really, for the Cubs, it's just been going out and making sure that everyone's ready to play on March 28th against the Rangers.
Was this spring different for you in any way?
I don't know. I mean, I guess as far as the team goes, the guys are a lot older. I mean, even though they're, a year older than last year, they're just more mature now. And I feel like there's a sense of urgency around the Cubs. Maybe the window's closing a little bit. And, last year didn't finish the way that they wanted it to. So guys like Chris Bryant, have come in and it's like, hey, it's been all business. Not that it wasn't before, but I just get this feeling that they're going to be ready to go. The division's a lot tougher now, I mean, like every team today you look at it and you can make a case that they're going to compete and maybe win the division. I mean, the Cardinals got to be one of the favorites. The Brewers won it last year. The Cubs have been so good. But the Pirates and the Reds have very formidable rosters. So I think the only difference is from the baseball aspect is just these guys who were mostly drafted by the Cubs, brought up through the system and got to the big leagues and won the World Series now are kind of older and old enough to realize that it's special that they get to play with kind of their crew, their core unit. But they've got to be successful. And last year they won 95 games, but they lost in the wild card, so that wasn't successful to them. As far as broadcasting goes, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I've worked with Len so much now, we can kind of play off of each other and do the things that we like to do to have a good time. So we're both, kind of just like teammates. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, like if you listen to us last night, we're on really late, because the game here it started at 7 here, so we went off the air back where I live at past 12:30, right?
Right?
And one of the pitchers comes in for the Dodgers, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, this guy looks like Ronnie Van Zant. And then and then all of a sudden here we are talking about Leonard Skinner songs, which is
Absolutely.
something that I can do with, no work. uh, I'm call myself a Skinner expert, right? So we did that, and it was so much fun, man. And like it, and that's what makes spring training great is that there's not as much intensity on the game itself, even though the teams want to win and the guys want to do well. But you can kind of cut up a little bit more. The regular season, I don't know. There's times for it, but it's just not as much.
That was something that, to my mind, so I just did my first spring training game. I was shocked at how fun, and I might be using this word wrong, it felt easy. There's
Yeah.
so much over the course of the regular season that challenges you, that keeps you on your game, that you've got to prepare for. I was shocked at just how leisurely and we had a crisply played game, one, two, 3 innings, pitchers threw strikes, so it was an ideal experience, but it flew by.
How did that? Yeah. How was that? I mean, I'd love to hear like who'd they play, and what ballpark were you in, and what do you remember about the experience?
I grew up a Detroit Tigers fan in Maryland, so it was against the Tigers. I know, I was an Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker fanboy. Well, it's against the Tigers, which is something I hide during Blue Jays season and Lugnut season. I was partnered up with Scott MacArthur, who had just been brought in and just announced as the new host of Jays Talk and the pregame, postgame host for the Blue Jays to join the Ben Wagner and Mike Wilner booth. And he and I had met before years earlier, so we got together the night before. We're cracking jokes, we're telling stories. I know it's going to be a blast to work with him. And then the game occurs. Clayton Richards spins a gem. The Tigers, after Danny Norris struggles in the early going, their bullpen settles in. There was a solo homer in the top of the first, a solo homer in the bottom of the first, a 2-run single in the bottom of the second, and then there was only 1 run scored the rest of the day. And it ended up 3-2 in 2 hours and 25 or so minutes. And it was great.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Like, so you get to do this game. Now, we always hope for a crisp, 2 hour something game, get out of
Yes.
there. But isn't there a part of you that just like, hey, you know what? I wouldn't mind a 4 hour game, particularly if the long innings were the ones I was on the air, just because you're getting, to do the major league team.
It was one of those things where once it started and once it got into it, there was just a part of me that I got so deeply invested in everything that we were doing, I couldn't pull myself out. So the game ended, and that's when I was able to say, huh, major league game, check.
Yeah.
So yes, 4 hour game would have been great, but because we were having so much fun and telling stories, there might have been half innings that were longer than I thought that they were, just
Yeah.
because it was so easy.
Yeah. And the other thing is you've done a million games, so
Yeah,
it's nothing different at all other than, the jersey and the venue, right? It's the
exactly.
same thing we always do. So,
As long as we've got good sight lines, as long as we see how the ball is coming off the bat, as long as we can pick everything up well, I don't know. That to me gets to be the most difficult thing is you can put us in a ballpark, and in the Midwest League, I'll say Bowling Green Ballpark in Kentucky, where we're located down the left field line above the third base coach. That's a
wow.
ballpark that I've got to prepare for because that pitch comes in belt high and I've got to be able to pick up is it outside corner, inside corner, too tight, too wide, or right down the middle.
Mm.
You put me right behind home plate, you give me that good vantage point where I can see a good wrinkle to the pitch, I'll be okay.
Yeah, how did they do it that way? I mean, why did they do that? Is it just design of the ballpark, or is it just where they put you guys?
Where's the best seats in the ballpark? Right behind home plate. So that's where the fans get in the lower bowl. And that's sweet section up there. That is valuable real estate. So it does not go to the press corps or the broadcast crew.
Hmm.
And then there are some stadiums. I don't know if you've ever sat really low right behind the batter and really behind the field. I've sat in ballparks where if the fans stood, I was blocked.
Yeah.
And the closer I am, actually, it hinders me in terms of this. The ball, everything looks like it's hit hard. So when I'm up above, it will look like a routine chopper to short. But if I'm down low, I see the batter swing, I see that pitch coming in. It looks like a sizzler. It looks like he creamed it off the bat. And so I'm ready to react with excitement, even though it's just going to be a 6-3.
Yeah. Last year we finished up spring training in Fort Myers. The Cubs played the Red Sox, and they have a really nice stadium, little Fenway, in Fort Myers. But the way that the press box is set, it's good. I mean, it's behind home plate, but the seats go right to it, and then people can stand
Yeah.
up. And they didn't have like an ambiance mic behind home plate, so you put your crowd mic out. And so I go back to listen, and the fans like that were in front of us were just loud and having a good time. And I'm like, well, this tape's useless, because it was just too much. Like they were taking over everything. Like I didn't even realize it at the time. And they were in front of Joe Castiglione's booth, but they were still picking up on our crowd mic. So this year we do the same thing, except the Red Sox are here in Arizona, and and the good news is that we'll be high above all the rowdies. This stadium's really set up like a big league park, so you're suspended over top of home plate.
Those stadiums that we go to where the fans are there, we really can listen into every bit of the conversation. And I get worried if the conversation starts to approach anything toward profanity, right? What
Yeah,
might a fan say? So there are some stadiums where I just can't use my crowd mic because of fans,
yeah,
or the PA speaker is right there. And
yeah.
so I've got to look over and see that he's about to speak. Otherwise, I'm about to get blasted.
Yeah, the worst park I ever broadcasted from was Five County Stadium, the Carolina Mudcats. And there were a few reasons why. First off, you had to go through the home booth. Did you ever go there before? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't
No?
think so.
Okay. You have to go through the home booth to get to the visiting booth. So if that guy's on the air, I mean, you're interrupting his whatever he's doing. And that's both ways, right? And then you get to your booth, and and they have conveniently put the towers that they use to power up the speakers in there, you know. So on top of the fact that there's no air conditioning, and you would look out the window and there was a speaker right underneath of you. So not only would it drown you out, but also you couldn't see. So you're in this like little closet. You're burning up because you've got all of this electronic equipment in there with you, and then you can't see the game. You know, it was, and we did a lot of games from there. You know, we played a lot of games against, because when they were in the Southern League, they were one of the Smokies' closest, neighbors,
Yeah.
and so we played them a lot. I've been in that booth a lot. The phone lines never worked right. I mean, it was every time we'd pull up, you get this like pit in your stomach, like what's going to go wrong. Plus, they were good. There were a lot of good teams that they had and good players. Back then the Marlins had a great farm system. And some of the guys who made that farm system were with the Cubs building up theirs. Brandon Hyde, who's now the manager of the Orioles, Tim Cousins, who's with Baltimore, Andy Haynes, who's a hitting coach for Milwaukee. All these guys that the Cubs plucked when Theo took over and they were building this champion were there, and then their scouting department was great. I mean, they had, Jeremy Hermida was a guy I saw a ton of, but it was like Cameron Maben was on those teams, and Yonder Alonso. I mean, every time you turn around, they just had someone. between their time with the Marlins and then their time with Cincinnati that would beat you. And then you'd go in there, you'd burn up, you couldn't see, you couldn't hear, the phone lines didn't work. I mean, it would just be a terrible, and you always lost somehow at the end of the game.
Did you root for a rain out?
Sometimes, I mean, the team hotel was really bad there. We had we had bed bugs one time. And this was '09 because Ryan Sandberg was our manager, and the guys were just getting chewed up. And teams try to take, like they get a deal at a hotel, they get some kind of a thing, and we all have to stay there, so this place we were all getting chewed up. And so I go up to Rhino and I say, hey, Rhino, guys are getting bit up by bed bugs. And Rhino's like, hey, we're trying to win games right now, Mick. You don't need to interrupt me. So I was like, okay, just letting you know. And that's how he was. I mean, he just get focused on stuff, never personal. So the next day I'm in the elevator and I see him and he's a guy that does this and then swings over and he goes, you're right about those bed bugs. And he's like, I went out last night and bought 2 cans of Raid. He left the lights on in his bedroom all night and then sprayed around the bed. And so, the good thing is that because of that, and Rhino talking with the Mudcats front office, we got it the next year. We stayed in the Hampton Inn. It was great. And, I never had another complaint from any of the players about going there after they changed that hotel. So maybe they didn't realize the situation, but I mean, this hotel in Raleigh, like you'd walk by and there'd be like prostitutes in your hallway and, and bed bugs and just crazy stuff. People get mugged outside. That minor league baseball has changed,
See,
in the last, like, you know what I'm saying? Like in the last, like 7 years, it's like the hotel quality has gone way up, at least in the Southern League.
In the International League, from what I've heard, all they have to worry about is haunted hotels.
And I'll
I'll
deal
tell
with
you,
that.
yeah. In the Midwest
I
League, I'll
don't
tell you
believe
a
in that
story.
stuff.
I won't tell you the home hotel or the team that arrived, but I'll give you all the other details. It was a long-term stay hotel that they had to deal with. And this home team, their coaching staff, their manager, that's where he stayed the entire season. So they've got the deal there. They don't have somebody at the front desk 24 hours. They work the normal 9 to 5 and then they're gone. You've got your keys. Well, one of the other teams in the league showed up with 2 huge prospects who were rooming together, and they got locked out of their room. And there's nobody there to let them in after a certain time. So
Ooh,
they had to sleep outside and until the next morning when that person reported to work and let them in. And that was the last year that that hotel was used by that team.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like there's some hotels in our league that that they could do better. Like where they've got you like 25 minutes from the ballpark. The teams need to go ahead and really consider the visitors that are paying for the hotel more. I've been excited about all of the talk that maybe the players, the minor league players, might get paid more money because I think they
Yes.
deserve it. I think it's time, and look, I'm not saying how much they should get paid, but I mean, like, their rate of pay has been kind of low here, and other things that that some of the front offices are fighting for, more comfortable travel on long trips, and I think the hotels are something, I mean, I feel like it's because in the minor leagues the way it works is that the home city will work a deal out with, say, the Hampton Inn, right? And the Hampton Inn will buy advertising, and then they'll promise a certain number of rooms, and they should have it should be like in the big leagues where you're in a really nice hotel somewhere close by, because not all the teams, you know, do that, I mean, like the last thing, I mean, like part of the fun of traveling is you want to be able to walk and do stuff. When we're in Jacksonville, we stay at the Hyatt, and that's like right downtown on the waterfront. And you can walk to the game, you can walk home. and you got all the stuff around there, and it's a really nice hotel. And I'm glad that they do that. It's super convenient, and it really gives you a good feel when you're there. We go to Montgomery, and I got my biscuit shirt on for you. But we're like 25 minutes out of town, and the hotel's nice, but the downtown of Montgomery is cool. It would be great to
Yes.
stay there. And and me, I've talked about this before. I think that the ballpark in Montgomery is maybe the best in minor league baseball. Not just the amenities, but I love the history behind it. The fact that it was built on, with that whistle stop. It's got the train tracks in the background. It was a Confederate prison. It's just a historic place, and it's really cool. I like the nooks and the crannies of the outfield. And I like going to Montgomery and hanging out downtown. But we're it's 25 minutes from the ballpark. So I would love to see them kind of move that downtown, because the downtown's cool.
I'll tell you about one more hotel before we get into our lingo this week. Burlington, Iowa. Mick, we stay at the Pizzazz. The
Cool.
Pizzazz Casino and Resort, Catfish Bend. So we are within walking distance of the ballpark. It's right there. We've got the casino. We've got a water park. We've got a bowling alley, sports bar, restaurants, and it's all basically the next block away from the ballpark. There's nothing
Yeah.
like
No, there's some cool ones. In our league, we got Biloxi, which is built, basically the stadium's built into the parking lot of the MGM, so it's MGM Park. And I love that place. And then the hotel that we're at is nice, and it's like right next door, and then you can walk down the strip. I've become a fan of the Hard Rock Cafe. Then you go to Pensacola, and you get to the ballpark, and it's great, but it's another one where you're way off. You're at the airport. So it's not as good. Our home park, the players are like right next to the stadium, but there's nothing around our stadium. So you've got 2 or 3 food options and Bass Pro Shop. But for some guys, that's great, So I'm not saying that the Smokies are the be all end all. I'm just saying it's great when you can just put everything right there, and it feels big league, when you go to Biloxi or you go to Jacksonville.
Our lingo this week is junk baller.
Oh yeah, I played with one. I think maybe I told you that. The guy. I played in a league in Birmingham, and this guy, we had a guy on our team named Rough Cut. And he threw Cuddy threw probably like 65, 70 miles an hour, but he got out
His last
because
name was Rough Cut?
No, this was his nickname was Rough Cut, and so we just called
That'd
him.
be great.
Yeah, Rough Cut. Yeah, he was kind of an oil can Boyd type dude, really funny. Kind of a wiry guy, and he threw like all these different like curveballs and change ups and circle change, Vulcan change, like he could just flip the ball in so many different ways. I remember playing behind him, and like if I played third, I played up, even though the guy didn't throw hard, because so many guys would roll over his pitches that I didn't want to give up those little infield ground balls. And he wasn't a great defender. He was good, but I knew playing behind him, hey, look, I'm going to cheat up. God, and once in a while, I mean, look, you'd have as you would say, a sizzler coming your way. But for the most part, you would get outs because the guys couldn't hit it, And I mean, this is like a, semi-pro industrial league, but still, I mean, he was a junk baller at its best, and 2 times through the lineup, you could not touch him. 3 times, all right, get somebody up. Let's go.
The most oil can Boyd pitcher that I ever had on one of my teams was Oil Can Boyd.
Nah,
I'm
you had
with
the oil can.
2005 Brockton Rocks, and Oil Can is one of our guys, Dennis Boyd. So,
Yeah.
junk baller. A junk baller is a guy who's not going to attack you with a fastball. You want the fastball, will give you something slow. Then maybe slower than that. Then maybe slowest. And right curve, slider, everything's a wrinkle.
Yeah.
There's nothing is the speed that you want it to go. So when he'd be on the mound, he would do strikeouts, pop outs, ground outs, boom, strikeout, ground. And then There'd be a couple of times each game where a guy would guess right and clobber it.
Yeah.
But beyond that,
Uh,
he was great.
yeah. I think when he came up though, he could throw. I mean, like he had some gas, and then over the course of time, you lose that. And I love the guys that figure out a way to stay in the game. I mean, like there's more than one way to skin a cat when it comes to pitching.
Bartolo Colon,
Yeah.
right? Bartolo Colon, when he came up, threw 96, 97, 98 miles an hour, and he was young. He was 20, 21, 22 with Cleveland. And now he's stuck in the game because he knows he can hit the corner. He's got all sorts of tricks up his sleeve. The
Yeah.
legend that I heard was that was Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige, when he was young, was Mr. Fireball. But then when he made the major leagues at the end of his career and he's old man Satch, that was just nothing but junk.
Yeah, he's my favorite player too. I don't even know why. I never saw him, but I just love the Satchel Paige stories. I love the showmanship.
Yeah.
I love the idea of Satchel and Dizzy Dean having these squads when baseball wasn't integrated, but those guys knew it should be, and just going around and playing exhibition games to the point where Major League Baseball's like, you got to stop because you're outdrawing us. And the fact that Satch played forever, right? I mean, yeah, I mean he's like in his 50s. No one really knew how old he was, but
He wasn't going to
he
tell you.
found a way. I also feel like with Satchel, if he would have been able to play in the major leagues as a young kid, how many wins would he have gotten? Could he have gotten 400 wins? I mean, depending on what team had him, I think there's a possibility. Um, yeah, he's a great example of that. And I want to remind anyone that's watching this that in Birmingham, Alabama, the Southern League, the Southern Negro League Museum is outside of the left field wall, and they have the coolest, set of, basically memorabilia, but they have a Satchel Paige hologram simulator. And
Ooh.
you go back there, yeah, you got to check this out. You go in there, and it's got his pitches. Well, he's created, if you knew anything about Satch, he he had some that were unique to him, right? And you push this button, you stand 60 feet 6 inches back, and hologram Satchel winds and throws you the pitch, and then you like see the ball like coming at you. It's cool, really cool, and it's
You know
worth
Satch,
checking out.
you know Satch's 6 rules for staying young? I love to share these.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number one, so rules for staying young. Avoid fried meats, which angry up the blood.
Yeah,
If your stomach disputes you, lie down and pacify it with cool thoughts.
yeah.
Keep the juices flowing by jangling around gently as you move. Go very light on the vices, such as carrying on in society. The social ramble ain't restful. Rule number 5, avoid running at all times. And rule number 6 is the famous one, don't look back. Something might be gaining on you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if those really help you stay young, but they're funny. And that's the kind of guy he was. I mean, he'd have these games where, Billy Williams, Cubs Hall of Famer, has great Satchel stories.
Yeah.
And he said Satchel loved to fish, and sometimes he would forget that he had, gone fishing, and he'd leave, catfish or whatever in the trunk of his car. So his car would stink. Or he'd have all these guys playing in these like, these Satchel Paige games, like where they were kind of exhibitions or whatever. And he'd
Yeah.
roll in like the third and just dazzle the crowd, for 2 innings, 3 innings or whatever and pitch and then leave. Like how funny is that? Or he was amazing. He really was.
I think it was Hilton Smith, who was the pitcher on Satch's team, that Satch would sell all the tickets, and Hilton Smith was the guy who had to pitch the majority of all the innings. All right, Hilt, go out there, win us the game now.
Right.
So junk balling, just in terms of what we've seen, it's the crafty lefty, right? It's
Hmm.
anything that's not a good fastball. It's the Jamie Moore style of changing speeds on your changeup.
Yeah, and you have to be super accurate when you're a junk baller. I mean, you really can't make mistakes over the plate because guys will kill them. But sometimes guys throw so hard now, you can have a pitcher that comes in under bat speed.
Yeah.
And the Smokies had a guy, I can't remember his name, but I used to say he throws slow, slower, and slowest, And it
Yeah.
was like that he got outs. He did a really good job of coming in and retiring batters, and he'd give you some innings, but it wasn't with anything that was going to be over 75 miles an hour for the most part.
That was something that I've heard my players complain about. The hitters have complained when a pitcher throws too slow and
Yeah,
they just can't time him up because they've never had to work with that kind of timing before.
right. Or not anymore. Like last night. The Dodgers brought in the guy that looked like Ronnie Van Zant. His name was last name was Alley. Really good pitcher. The guy's throwing like, not only does he come
Stetson,
in,
right? Stetson
yeah,
Alley?
Stetson Alley, yeah, like you probably
Great
remember.
name.
Yeah, but he comes in, I mean, like, and he's got this look to him. As a Skinnert fan, like right off the bat, I like him. If you come in and you look like Ronnie Van Zant in a baseball uniform, I'm with you, right? And then, he comes in, he's throwing 98, and it's like, the Dodgers had a couple guys like that. Uranus came in last night, or Uranus or whatever. He comes in, pow, 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 and then this guy. So the players are used to seeing gas, right? So you come in under bat speed, and you can get outs that way, at least somewhat. I always think of like the Japanese league and maybe in Korea where
Yeah.
they utilize this probably more than we do here.
Yeah. Well, Australia, Mexico. When Roberto Osuna was first signed by the Blue Jays and came in, I was told he's got secondary stuff already. And any pitcher that comes out of Mexico, they've got secondary stuff because pitching in Mexico, it's changeups and curveballs.
Right, right. Yeah.
Our call this week. So from the junk balling, let's get into home run hitting. We're going back to 1961, October the 1st. October 1st, 1961, Roger Maris against Tracy Stallard. Stallard throws ball one, ball two, and then.
And the boos get louder. 2 balls, no strikes on Roger Maris.
Is that clear enough?
Yeah.
Here's the windup. Fastball hit deep to right. Put it way back there. Oh! Holy cow! What a shot!
So Phil Rizzuto, the scooter, calling
Yeah.
Roger Maris's 61st to top the Babe.
Yeah. When I was in New Jersey as a kid, when I lived there for a short time, he was still on Yankees telecast. I watched him a lot. Always liked Phil. Wasn't a big fan of Phil, the broadcaster. And partly because I was spoiled. I mean, I had Chuck Thompson and John Miller in Baltimore, and then I had become this huge Cubs fan with Harry and Steve. And and the Yankees were hard to watch for me. I wish I would have been there when Mel Allen was still doing the games, to be honest with you. But I did like Phil, the person. Like he had the great stories. A former shortstop.
Yes.
Where I always wondered when I would hear him yell "Holy cow!" Was that Harry's first or his first? They both said they had it first, right?
Harry Carey says that he had it before Rizzuto. And the reason he can say that is Harry Carey is calling baseball games when Rizzuto was still playing for the Yankees.
Yeah, and I think what happens too, I've said this before, I'll use roll them up on a double play and can of corn on a fly out, and stuff like that. And we just said that when we played. I didn't realize Hawk Harrelson, was like the roll them up guy. I mean, that's just what people would yell, hey, let's roll him up, So maybe that's it too. Maybe Holy Cow was popular because of Harry and Phil's still playing and, and he hears it. But look, we don't own any of this stuff. So both guys can
No.
say Holy Cow, and they both did it in their own way, and I liked it, right? The call was good.
By the way.
Nothing. What's that?
Halsey Hall is the actual broadcaster who is credited with using Holy Cow before Harry Carey or Phil Rizzuto, but he was a very regional broadcaster, so it's understandable a lot of folks don't know his name.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't even know that, but whatever. Whoever said it's a term that is endeared by baseball. The call itself, I mean, it's good, It's not legendary, but the hit was, right? And he was smart. I mean, he just said it and got out of the way, and and that was such a weird season too. I mean, Roger Maris, he really never got the credit that he deserved, partly because of the New York press, and and their villain, they villainized him because he wasn't Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, the Mick, but you know what? Roger Maris was a really good player too, and a winner, and people should have appreciated what he was doing a lot more than, trying to compare him to Babe Ruth.
I think that there's a comparison to be made a little bit, personality-wise, of Maris to Mike Trout, in terms of
Yeah.
guy who goes out there, plays, and Mike Trout's one of the all-time greats, but in terms of the personality off the field is not the, hey, look at me, where are the cameras, I've got a great quote, I've got this shining charisma. Roger Maris wasn't that, Mickey Mantle was that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish Mike Trout was, because I think the game needs that from someone like him. And he's by far the best player, but you got to be true to yourself too. I mean, like a huge contract, by the way, we didn't even talk about that, for Mike Trout. So he's going to be an angel forever unless they trade him, right? But yeah, I mean, like he got beaten up so bad, but still, to me, I mean, because of the steroids and everything else, I mean, that's legitimately the home run record to me. It's hard for me to say, Barry Bonds and Sammy and Mark, even though I enjoyed watching it when it was happening, are legitimate when, those guys were on steroids and this guy wasn't. And then everything that this guy went through, people can be cruel, man. I mean, like, and the more you read and watch, or some of you even lived it with Maris, you feel bad for the guy,
Yes. Back on the very first call that we broke down, Milo Hamilton. Remember I said Milo did not want to use his trademark call for Hank
Yeah.
Aaron's record-breaking home run because he felt it would detract? I think right there, Phil Rizzuto using Holy Cow works so well.
Yeah, I say you use it. I said that last time. I mean, like, be yourself, right?
Exactly. All right, I've got another call for you about Roger Maris's 61st home run. This is on television, WPIX TV. 2 balls, no strikes. And this time, the man at the microphone is Red Barber.
Low. Ball two.
Television setting.
Crowd is reacting negatively. They want to see Maris get something he can swing on. There it is. $61. $5,000, somebody. He got his pitch. Look, $5,000. And here's the fellow with 61. You're seeing one today.
So there it is. As soon as the ball leaves the bat, 61. And the focus on $5,000. And Mick, I've got the story for you. It was a 19-year-old kid named Sal Durante. And yes, as Red Barber said, he was offered and paid $5,000 for catching that. His fiance paid $2.50 for a ticket for her and a ticket for him to take him out to the ballpark. they remained married. They stayed married by the time this article that I'm reading right now was written, 2011. He was a school bus driver. He told her, "Hey, Roger's coming up. Let's move back a row." He's short. He stood on top of his seat. He reached up his hand. He caught it, and then he was paid $5,000. He's wearing, if you can picture, he's wearing his black leather jacket. He's wearing his white shirt. Phil Rizzuto was very happy that a fellow Italian had caught this home run. And so
Yeah,
it was a
that's funny.
restaurateur, Sam Gordon from Sacramento, California, who paid him $5,000 for the ball. And then Gordon gave the ball to Roger Maris. And Maris had said to Sal Durante, "Hey, you caught it, make some money off of it." And so Red Barber knew immediately, hey, somebody just got himself $5,000.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and now you listen back to it, and it's like maybe that you could have waited on that. maybe circle back about the 5,000 because
Yeah.
$5,000. I mean, like that ball is probably worth millions now, right?
Yeah,
Right.
so-
If you're the guy that sold it for 5,000, in 1961, we're in 2019. You could, basically, mortgage your kid's future with that ball. I mean, and everyone knew it was historic, but it just got more and more valuable, right? I don't know. Like, I don't think that I love Red. You know, when he used to do when he retired, he would do like on NPR, he would do like weekly chats. So I love him, but I'm not a fan of this call because I don't care about the $5,000 that someone just got the ball. Not at that moment. Like would Vin do that? No, no, no. So I don't know. I mean,
Didn't it feel
like a game show.
Didn't it feel to you like with this call from Red Barber that he was unsurprised? Well, of course he had 61. Look, that fan's now rich. There's the man who had 61. It was nothing about it to say one of baseball's greatest and most famous records
Yeah.
has just fallen.
Yeah, and neither call said he stands alone or he passes the babe and that's the significant part of that. Now, I'm not in that chair to know what that experience would be like to call that sort of historic, moment. But I hope that I'd be more prepared than that, right? I mean, do you think if Vin was on the call that he would have mentioned that, Harris is the single season home run king, passing the Bambino himself? I mean, like, how easy would that have been to say?
I think
He's passed Ruth.
because we saw Vin Scully and we heard on an earlier week Vin Scully calling the Hank Aaron call. I think because we heard Vin put everything into context and we heard the way that he said it, no, I think that Vin would have delivered a more, I'm going to say, a call that fits the moment in terms of the perspective of baseball history. That,
Yeah, right.
as you mentioned with Roger Maris, all the pressure that was on him, the feeling of this is the record and Maris is chasing it and is he going to get there? And there were doubts that he was going to get there and he got there. And Red
Right.
Barber and Phil Rizzuto are basically going, I bet that he broke the record.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, kid.
Yeah.
And someone just won $5,000. Like, come on. Yeah, I don't know. Look, man,
Good for you.
good pat on the back, say boy. I don't know. But that's how the media did him.
All right, story time.
What's that?
Let's tell some stories to end this week's show. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead. You go first.
So this week our subject is, and we're going to step away from the play on the field.
Okay.
Players who have other talents, players who have other skills, and coaches who have other skills.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'll lead off with this. There have been some famous musicians who've also played baseball. Bernie Williams, it is understood how great of a guitarist he is. So I'll tell you a story about Phil Hawk, who was my first baseman on the Windy City Thunderbolts in 2008. Phil Hawk wrote and performed the walk-up songs for his teammates. His teammates would say, "Hey, share with me. I like my dog. I like fishing. Write me a song about that." And Phil would write and perform, record, and deliver it. And we would play that song as the player would come walking up to home plate. If ever we had a national anthem singer who no-showed on us, there's our big slugging first baseman and the Frontier League MVP who'd go over to
Yeah.
the microphone and sing the national anthem. Great slugger, hulking 6'3", 230-pound dude. Amazing singer-songwriter.
Yeah. I got a couple like that. Well, first, and this isn't a guy that I was around to watch play, but I'll get these Miley collection games, like these throwback games. Now you can find them online. You don't even have to pay for them, but they're like someone recorded games from, way back in the day, and I want to hear those broadcasters. And I'm listening to the 1971 ALCS between and the Oakland A's. And Mudcat Grant's like a pitcher for the A's, but he sings the national anthem. So Mudcat Grant is, like a few years ago, he's out here in Arizona. Ferguson Jenkins has this charity that he runs called Fergie and Friends, and they sign autographs, at all the games. And I saw Mudcat, and I'm walking by, and I said, "Hey, so you sang the national anthem?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "I think he has like a daughter that sings." And he was, telling me like how he did a lot of singing in the off season back then. And I thought that was cool. We had a pit player one time who's actually been in the big leagues recently, Austin Bibbins Dirks. And I sat in front of him on the bus back in those days when he was with the Smokies. One of the nicest guys that you'll ever meet. And we're playing in Birmingham, and all of a sudden, like, the walk-up music for our guys was a bit weird. It was Christian music. And after the game, everyone was laughing about the fact that the Barons had discovered that he was a Christian music artist. And they were using his songs as walk-up songs for our guys. So he was pitching that day. Yeah, so he's pitching that day. He's like, what? Yeah, so that was a good one. But the best one is, when it comes to music and players, Justin Berg and Jeff Jones. They were on my first team with the Smokies, 2007. And they would get to the front of the bus with their guitars, and they had written songs about just different things, or players, or coaches. And we had, if you're a Tigers fan, you'll recognize this name. Barbaro Garbe was our hitting coach, right? And I guess Barbaro used to have a saying, it's too damn hot to hit. And so they were, at least that's according to their song. So one of their songs was "It's Too Damn Hot to Hit," and they would get up on the front of the bus and play that song. And Barbaro loved it. We all loved it. They get on the microphone, that the buses have the microphone. So funny.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, such a good time. Pat Listash was our manager. Just great, man. I love those teams. There's certain teams where everyone just kind of gets along, and you have like a personality. And then those two, just up there singing and playing. We made it to the postseason that year. Had a great, very memorable. But they were both good.
Beyond music, let me shift into a different area. Artists. I found a Cut 4 piece, MLB.com, about Kurt Flood the painter, Micah Johnson. Didi Gregorius is apparently a great artist.
Mm-hmm.
The best one I ever had on one of my teams was Blake McFarland, who was a right-handed reliever. But I didn't know at the time how great he was. He's now out of baseball, and he's competing all over the place. He's delivering artwork. It's getting commissioned. He dropped me a line last year. There's something called the Grand Rapids Art Prize. Art Prize is, you can submit your work, whoever it is. Everybody submits from all around the country and all around the world, and then it's voted on popularly, and one person wins $1 million.
Ooh.
And there's Blake McFarland, former Lansing Lugnuts swingman, starting pitcher / reliever / whatever we needed of him.
Yeah.
And he's got one of the prime spots and one of the best pieces of art that was out there. He didn't win, but the man is a ridiculous sculptor of recycled, reused material.
Yeah, it's neat. Yeah, that's cool. There's guys that do different things. Um, you know, a lot of guys like to go fishing, hunting, and they're pretty good at it. You get to see their pictures and stuff. I'm not sure about artists. I'm trying to think, like when we get this over and I'm driving to the ballpark today, I'll have like five of them pop in my head. Um, but you're blown away sometimes at how talented, these guys are, or how smart
Yeah.
they are. And how versed in other things besides baseball. Not everyone brings that Kenny Powers personality to the ballpark.
We had a player named Gunnar Height, who last check still a part of the Blue Jays organization. Surfing instructor.
Yeah.
Like, what a great job. That's awesome. And he plays every position that they need, and he hits for pop. But the man, if you want to learn how to surf, Mick Gillispie,
I
Gunnar
know
Height will
how.
teach you. Oh,
Yeah, and it's fun. It's dangerous, but it's fun.
let's see. Sal Pisano, our former manager in Lansing and then later manager with the Mobile Bay Bears. Have you seen his calligraphied starting lineups?
No.
Sal Pisano, the big mustachioed former
Yeah.
catcher in the major leagues. Sal's pals in Philadelphia. He knows multiple. The first word that comes to mind for me is font. I'm not sure if that's the correct style for calligraphy. He learned how to be a calligrapher. He has
Wow.
many different nibs and pens, and he would ask me as he's making out the starting lineup, hey, which style should I do today? And he'd select one, and then he'd take careful time, and there would be this simply gorgeous starting lineup.
That's neat.
Here's a different one entirely. There was a pitcher named Mike Eisenberg. I think he was part of the Cleveland minor league organization, then later independent ball. Mick, I would sit next to him on the bus, and all he ever wanted to talk about was movies. Discuss this director, discuss that director, discuss cinematography. So he would go see movies, he'd break it down. He was a movie critic. And I later found out that after he left baseball, he's now scripting, directing, producing his own films. That
That's
that
cool.
was his great pitcher, tall guy, tried to get that downward plan. And oh, by the way, the man was a cinephile.
Wow. That's neat. I'd like to watch his movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
And you know
what?
there's
There
baseball
was
omens.
there's a guy I got one. Anthony Giansanti. He played for the
Yeah.
Smokies. One of the best personalities and great guys. Great guy. His father and him are stuntmen. His dad's a stuntman in movies. And Anthony, he's still playing. He plays for the Sugarland Skeeters. We had a television show um, that was about to shoot the last year he was with the Smokies, and he ended up getting released. We were going to use him because he just has the chops. He's been around the business, and there's something about this guy. He's such a good dude. So we shot a couple like videos, and they were hilarious. He'd come in and tell us stuff about ideas. That was one of the hardest times where someone got released, and you're going, oh man, I mean, like you just think so highly of them, and you're gonna miss them. And I was looking forward to kind of doing the TV show with him.
Yeah. Family business. There was a pitcher named Frank Gailey, a left-hander, and I asked him what are his plans for the off season. He said, Jesse, I got the firefighter's exam coming up. His entire family fights fires.
Wow,
And so he
that's
just
cool.
knew when his baseball career ended, he was going to go back to Philadelphia, and that's what he was going to do.
Neat, very cool.
Here's something out of right field that's going to light your face up. How many barbers have you met over the years?
No, definitely. There's always
Every
one, right?
team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
And
go in
guys
there
are
and they're
good
cutting
at it.
hair. Yeah, they're cutting hair in the clubhouse. Like you'll walk in and there'll just be the whole, the mirrors in front of the shower will be just full of hair. And someone's in there got the kit and they're cutting hair and everything. Yeah, that's every team's got one.
And the feeling is, if you get your haircut somewhere else outside the clubhouse, not from that guy, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Every team that
cheater.
I've been on that has had a team barber has had that guy, the catcher, the pitcher, the reserve infielder. That guy is taking his craft really seriously.
Yeah, yeah, and they should. I mean, it's your hair, you know. When you get somebody up there, they start working on it. You got to wear this for about 3 weeks, you know. So it better be good.
We had a pitcher on an early team that I was with who went out to a mall to have a haircut. And he came back and it looked like it was something out of the 1990s, but a stereotype. It was
Right.
mohawked high, shaved on the side, and tinted green and spiked at the top.
Wow.
And the manager took one look and he said, "That's not going to fly here." And that haircut might have lasted, oh, I don't know, 3 minutes.
Yeah, but you know what? I think now you could do it, right? I bet. When was that? Like probably
As
like
long as the
7, 8 years
baseball cap
ago.
works.
But I mean, like, what was it,
Yeah.
7 or 8 years ago? Yeah, now, I mean, guys show up, and if you look like Ronnie Van Zant and you throw 98, no one says anything, you know. But there was a time where it was like you had to have the short haircut, and you better look like you were, selling soap, basically, you know. And now we've just kind of gotten to the point where they're a lot more open to longer hair or different hairstyles or facial hair. A lot of the old school people aren't in charge anymore. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying that's where the game is right now. You know, you really, I think you need a mix. There's some good things that come from old school, work ethic um, and being a little tougher. But at the same time, you don't want to take the fun out of the game either.
Well, speaking of that, there's a huge conversation right now on the place of video games in the clubhouse.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, well, if guys are getting hurt playing like Fortnite, that's funny you bring that up. Yesterday before the game, I was in the Dodger booth with Tim Neverett and Rick Monday, who, by the way, Rick Monday's to me just great. I love him, and I like Tim too. But both of them good guys. Rick, the former player, the flag, that he rescued, I've got the bobblehead of that. I love him, and he's
Number
and
one
he's my
draft
kind
pick.
of guy. Yeah, and he's my kind of guy. Like he's a straight shooter. And we were talking about the video games, and I was saying, hey, when I was a kid, I played baseball from the time I can remember being able to walk. I mean, like just played all the time. And when I wasn't playing, I was playing. I was thinking about it, reading about it. I had a ball I would throw up against the wall and broadcast games and make lineups and do stats and all this wiffle ball. And I said now kids play video games, and that opened up this conversation about video games in the clubhouse. And it's what was it? Carlos Santana is he the one that smashed the television with the? I think that's right. Right? One player did. They smashed
Yes.
the right. Yeah, they smashed the TV because guys were playing video games during the game. How's that happen? I mean, right? I mean, isn't that crazy?
I mean, the whole idea, and that's why I heard for however many years, no phones in the clubhouse, no distractions. And baseball, you just lock in before the game, and then after the game at a certain point, okay. But from this point through the game, you lock in on baseball.
Yeah. Well, Rick said when the second bus came, that was normally the sign that it was, time to get serious. Put the phones up, the
Exactly.
distractions, and get ready for the game. Kids are
Yeah,
different these days. The players have a lot more power over things than they did back then too. With contracts and the way that things are set up. And not everyone on the team is responsible. Not all these guys appreciate how good they have it, and I think that's a shame. That's something I've talked about a lot. Um, the fact that they get to play a game for a living because all of us are paying, for them to have, to buy tickets to watch the game. Like there should be some appreciation there because you're pretty damn lucky to get to do that. And I mean, like being focused and paying attention to what's going on and playing the game hard. I mean, I don't think that's too much to ask. The rest of it, I mean, you can't always determine how your team's going to turn out. It's a team sport, right? But you can control the things in front of you, right? And effort's number one on the list. And if you're playing a video game during your team's game, then you're not giving any effort.
I've got my list of things that don't require any talent in order
Yeah,
to do.
I
I've
posted
all
that. Yeah,
those
go
different
ahead.
things. No, but you know the effort, the showing up on time, all those different things, the preparation, and right on through your attitude,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah. And I've had a lot of guys that have come and worked for me, over the years because they want to get into broadcasting. And the guys that do those things and are willing to learn those things are successful. And then there's guys that no matter what you do, they don't want to do it. And there's always an excuse, there's an attitude, there's body language is one, all that stuff. It matters,
Yeah.
right? And honestly, I was going to say, I wish that when I was younger that, I would have kind of had these things put in my face more. Because,
I'll give you.
you just got to lay it out and do it, right?
Yeah. Here, I'll give you one more story about a player with another talent, and then we'll wrap
Okay.
up this week.
All right, I
You
got
know
to
the
go to
movie
work.
Step Brothers?
Cubs Giants today. Yes.
Yeah. Step Brothers. You've seen the movie.
Yes.
Will Ferrell, opera singing.
Mm-hmm.
There's an outfielder named Connor Panis who saw that movie, saw Will Ferrell sing an opera, and said, I could probably do that. Just from seeing the movie. Connor Panis, opera singer / home run hitter, now with the San Diego Padres organization.
Sweet. That's a good one.
Yeah. That does it for this week. Mick, we've covered a lot of ground this week.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, and MLB.com, Cubs.com, Giants and Cubs today. You guys tune in.
Yeah.
We got
Hey.
5 more of these spring training games. Be there. Hey, thanks, Jesse.
Have a great call, Mick.
All right,
From
see you,
Mick
buddy. Take care.
Gillispie, Mick, voice of Cubs spring training. Len Casper Digest. I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler. Ballpark Digest on Twitter, ballparkdigest.com, and the whole sister crew of sites. Spring Training Online, Arena Digest. Big thanks for tuning in, and we'll check back in with you next week.